Oh wow, the new Mario Kart game is looking really amazing. I wonder how much it actually costs. So yeah, Nintendo recently announced the Switch 2, and with that also its pricing. And let's just say, it's pretty questionable to say the least. Now, this is not necessarily a video about me hating on the Switch 2 and its games, because I mean, obviously the Switch 2 is looking great, and so is Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. But after seeing this pricing, it really made me question if I should just switch to Sony once and for all. So let's go over some stuff that Nintendo recently announced and see if its price is actually fair. Spoiler, it's not. So let's start with $450 for the Switch 2. You know, this is probably the least concerning price tag in my opinion. I mean, sure, the original Switch cost $300, and now suddenly bumping up that price to $450 for the sequel is a pretty hard pill to swallow. But we also can't forget that the Switch 2 is much more powerful than the Switch 1. Like, it can finally run at 4K 60 FPS and even 1080p 120 FPS. And yeah, I know the PS4 Pro could technically already do that in 2016, but the Switch 2 also makes use of stuff like DLSS and ray tracing to make games just look that much better. Now, is it still overpriced? Yeah, I think it's still a bit overpriced in my opinion, especially considering that you can buy PS5 Digital Edition for that money. But hey, for only $50 more, you can buy the Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart World bundle, which includes both the Switch 2 and Mario Kart World. Who would have thought? And to be honest, that's probably what I'm getting on release date, since there ain't no way I'm spending $80 for a Switch game. So let's talk about the games now. What the fuck? Alright, look, I know that games nowadays require a bigger budget, and I'm also aware that stuff like inflation and tariffs exist, RIP, but in no fucking world is a Mario Kart game worth $80, or heck, even $90 for the physical version. What the fuck, Nintendo? Okay, well, to be fair, you can play as a fucking cow from Moo Moo Meadows, so that already makes it the best game ever, but still, Nintendo, still! I also absolutely hate how Nintendo is pricing the physical version $10 higher than the digital version. Like, is Nintendo for real trying to switch to digital once and for all? Why? Physical is so much better. I mean, with physical, you get a box and a cartridge, but hey, it's still better, okay? By the way, do you guys remember when game boxes got you stuff like guides and promotional codes and shit like that? Like, why don't video game companies do that anymore? That was honestly one of the best parts of getting a physical copy in my opinion. But anyways, at least the new Donkey Kong game is $10 cheaper, which is still overpriced in my opinion, but at least it's not as bad as Mario Kart World. But what about some accessories like this Switch 2 Pro Controller? Well, for the Switch 2 Pro Controller, you're looking at a whopping $80. And I know, the Switch 1 Pro Controller was already $70, which was already overpriced. So stepping it up to $80 is once again a super hard pill to swallow. Well, at least the Switch 2 camera is looking slightly better at $50. Although I've heard you can also connect any USB camera, so you don't have to necessarily buy the Switch 2 exclusive one. But I don't know about that. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And finally, there are also the Switch 2 game upgrades that will either cost full price at $80, or if you already own them on the original Switch, you can upgrade them for about like $10 to $20, something like that. But as of right now, that's not fully confirmed yet, so we'll have to see. So in conclusion, yeah, the Switch 2 pricing sucks, especially the games which can cost up to $90, which is still just so crazy to think about. But hey, despite the pricing of the Switch 2 and its games, I'm pretty sure it will still sell pretty well. Will it pass the Switch 1 in sales? Probably not, but you know, my prediction is that it's gonna sell about 50 million copies or so. It will be cool to come back to this video in like 6 or 8 years to see if I was actually right. Anyways, that's all for now. See ya.